Well, how about that beautiful shot? Looking down on the Whitehall Forest, part of the UGA's Warnell School of Forestry and Natural Resources. And this month, we're talking about wildlife surveillance. I've been called a lot of things in my life, but I've never been called a wildlife detective until now. I've got some great tips for you this month if you're interested in putting a wildlife camera out on your property. This is a Browning Strike Force camera, and not to sound like a commercial for Browning, but I will say the Browning Strike Force is a great brand to consider. I want to walk you through what to do with this thing because some of these things that are online about them don't tell you the things that I've learned from experience. First of which is setting this guy up. Let's talk about when you get it out of the box, what do you do with this thing? You want to go ahead and open this little door up on this guy, and you'll notice that it does require batteries that aren't part of it. And the batteries go underneath of this guy as you open this guy up and pull the batteries out. You want to put fresh batteries in it. These could last, well, sometimes a week, sometimes a month. Depends on what you do in your setup. I'm going to put those batteries in and remind you that also these do not come with an SD card. So don't forget, add that to your shopping list. Get an SD card, which is the memory card that holds all your pictures. This is a 16 gigabyte. I'm going to recommend a 32 gigabyte if you want to do video with your camera. I'm going to put this guy into the camera here just like so and get ourselves ready to set this thing up. When you turn it on, here are some things to think about. First, set your date and your time. That's going to tell you once you start getting those pictures what time of the night or day are the animals or people that you're seeing walking in front of this camera. Get the date and the time correct. Moon phase will automatically be set, which is pretty neat if you're interested in white-tailed deer and seeing where they're going. That's another important thing. The other thing to think about with this guy as you're setting it up is when you put your SD card in, make sure that you format it. All that means is delete what's on it already. That's called formatting. If you don't, it won't let you take any pictures. The other thing I want you to remember is how many pictures it takes in each burst. You can set your camera to 30-second intervals for pictures, and I'd encourage you to do that. They don't tell you that in the user manual, and what the default is it ends up taking a lot of pictures every, say, 10 seconds. Put your camera out in the woods, and within an hour or two, your SD card is full. You don't want that. Once you go through those things, you close this guy up, you're ready to put it out in the woods and get some photos of some wildlife. And I want to tell you next about what you do with that camera, putting it on a tree or on a fence post, and then what do you do once you get those pictures. So let's go there next. Well, it's so neat to think about the topic of this month's Ranger Nick segment and where it came from. You know, I was inspired by a fellow faculty member, Dr. James Johnson, in the Warnell School of Forestry and Natural Resources, who has a passion for using wildlife cameras to study wildlife activity. And I had him come into one of my classes very recently and share with my students some of these techniques. And I thought, Doc, I got to do a Ranger Nick on this. And that's how we came up with this today. So once you've formatted your camera, where do you put this thing on your property? Well, we're down here along a creek right now. And a creek or a beautiful pond that you may have seen on your screen is a nice edge as well as a roadway. It's a great edge for predators to travel along and get food. And so I'm down along this creek. Over here, I have set up our wildlife camera that we just finished formatting a little bit ago. And as I was putting this thing on this tree, I want you to notice something that you might not notice had I not told you, and I have learned the hard way. As I was putting this thing on this little tree, my battery pack on the bottom of this camera got loosened and nearly dropped out. Now, if I didn't notice and I set my camera up and walked away, nothing would get photos at all. That'd be a problem, and that'd leave you upset when you came to check your camera. So I'm going to check my battery pack, put that in there. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that my camera is turned on, but before I do, notice this little stick that's on top of that camera. I've put that stick in a position to angle the lens of the camera down. I want to angle that camera slightly down, and 10 feet from the camera is a good distance. 10 feet is where your photos are going to be clearest. You don't want that critter super close, it'll be blurry. And in order to see the direction of the lens, the eye of the lens, I'll often get a little paint stir stick and just kind of check to see the direction where that lens is going, and it looks about right. 10 feet from here, before I go ahead and turn this thing on and start capturing, 10 feet from here is a little sand pit that we created with my students this week. And this is actually not only playground sand, but also has some mineral spirits mixed into it. It makes the sand nice and able to be padded and leaves a print. I put this little paint stir stick in the center and honestly put some sardines on top of it to get the scent off the ground. and it brought in raccoons and all kind of cool stuff. Now, I don't recommend putting out bait, and I'll tell you why. Sometimes that creates aggression among animals, deer and other things, and we don't want to encourage animals to come into a certain place over and over. So we put our camera out. We're going to forget about the bait for a second. Before I leave, I'm turning it on. I know my SD card is in there, and when you turn it on, you'll be given a countdown. You got 30 seconds to get out of there before it starts taking a picture. So let's get out of here. Let's hope for the best with our camera. And let's go talk about what do you do when you get some good shots? What kind of decisions can you make? We'll go there next. All right, so I'm coming out here to check on my camera, and notice I've put the camera on a tree and the camera is facing up this hard edge, this road. Coyotes, this is a great place for a coyote to hang out. All along a nice edge like this, a roadway, path of least resistance. They can run right down this road, look for those prey items, those prey critters they're looking for. And what's interesting is to note, I picked this loblolly pine tree as opposed to that one. And sorry, buddy, nothing against you, but you may not be able to see it on camera. In front of this pine tree are some of these blades of grass. If I put that camera on that pine tree and these blades of grass started moving, it would trip that camera over and over. And before too long, my SD card would be full without any pictures of coyotes, but pictures of grass moving around. If you happen to pull your SD card out of your camera and take your camera with you, and notice when you download those shots that you have a lot of pictures of nothing, could be a leaf or a blade of grass moving around that did that to you. Before you put that camera out, make sure you have a clear shot when it's about 2 or 3 feet off the ground, straight up a roadway. All right, so you got your SD card, you turn that camera off, you're gonna take it with you. What do you do with this stuff? Download this onto your computer, get an SD card reader, take a look at it, and if you've got things like coyotes or predators like that, realize, don't jump to conclusions. Know that this time of year, early spring, late winter, coyotes are pretty hungry. The prey that they fed on during the nice months when there were young animals, young rabbits and rats and things to eat, are no longer, so they're hungry. If you see coyotes now, hold back a little bit, get a couple weeks worth of data, and notice in the pictures that you get, are there any identifying marks on those animals that might tell you it's the same animal? Take a note of what time of day or night it is, and consider reaching out to an extension agent. Like we talk about a lot on the segment, they can reach out to a nuisance wildlife professional and help you figure out what to do about that. This is one source of data in all the decisions you make as a landowner, and I gotta tell you, you might even find some folks trespassing on your land if that camera's along a road, so it'll benefit you there. I hope you've enjoyed doing this stuff with us today. Such an interesting segment, and a big thanks to Dr. Johnson for all the great tips he shared with me to share with you. Well, you know what to do. While you're online looking at other pictures of wildlife and taking pics yourself, hop on over to the Farm Monitor Facebook page, check it out. Check out the Ranger Nick Facebook page. And until next time, for the Farm Monitor, I'm Ranger Nick, reminding you as I always do, that enthusiasm is contagious. So pass it on. Happy pictures. I look forward to seeing you again this time next month. See ya.